I'm going to quickly talk about some new user-facing enhancements coming in the next version of Storyboard, version 8.2. So here I am in the main Storyboard designer view, and if you're familiar at all, one thing you might notice is that the toolbar it looks a lot cleaner. So one of the things we did is we consolidated our import, export, and simulate actions into a bit of a cleaner UI to provide a bit of a better experience. So the simulator configurations are accessible through the drop-down, but what you also get is a launch history of all the simulations we've done. So you can easily return to a previous launch without having to actually navigate through the editor. And of course, you can also just simulate directly from the button as well if you want. And that's the exact same with the export configurations as well. You can access them here through the dropdown and view past exports. And we also consolidated our content import actions into one dropdown, just for a bit of a cleaner look and easier access. We also brought back the I/O connector into the main storyboard perspective. This is a really convenient tool for injecting events into your simulated applications, and we wanted to highlight it again. So it's back in the main perspective next to the properties view. And another thing we added, if we go to our simulator configurations under Jira I/O, we've added the option to automatically open a floating I/O connector tab when you launch your app, which just streamlines the I/O connector case where you want to inject events. It'll just launch a connector tab automatically so that you don't have to kill the focus from your app to do it yourself. So you can see I've launched my app. I have a connector tab already ready to go, and I can just start injecting events and do whatever I want. We've also improved our Lua actions. So if I take a look at the add action wizard and take a look at the Lua script action, first thing we've done is we provide a description of all the functions that you can select from, just to add a little bit of extra context when you're in this dialog. And as well, when you're creating a new function, you get the choice to add it to whatever Lua file you want. If you happen to have multiple, you can choose a Lua file you want to add it to, or if you need to create one, you can create a new Lua file as well. Let's say for convenience, I just wanted to add it here. I can do that easily, and I hit finish, and my new function is there and ready to go. So there are also a couple of new runtime features that I wanted to address. Sticking with actions, we've added a new action to enter low power mode on the runtime. So what does that mean exactly? In an attempt to give you a little bit more control about what the runtime is doing, what processors are actually running at any given time, entering low power mode will pause any running timers on the runtime side. So these are timers that you have injected manually through a timer action or through the Lua API, as well as any running animations, which fire and manage their own timers. So triggering a low power mode will pause all those timers. And again, the goal is to just give you more flexibility on what the runtime is doing. So after those timers are paused, there will be no data updates as a result of those timer events, and subsequently there will be no redraws as a result of those timer events. So if you just need to take back a bit of control from your SB Engine process, relieve a little bit of CPU pressure, you can enter low power mode through this action. And then when you're ready to exit low power mode, there's a corresponding low power exit action that you just trigger. And then when this is triggered, any animation related timers or any of those custom timers that you added with actions or through Lua will resume where they left off. So yeah, these actions currently have no parameters, so it's as simple as just triggering the action through whatever event you want to trigger it from. And the last thing I want to mention is our binary gap export on MCU platforms. So when you go to export an application for use on an MCU, so an embedded resource header, you have a new option on the model to export the model as binary. Now, what this essentially means is that rather than exporting the kind of standard gap file as an XML that would then need to be loaded into memory and parsed to extract all the data, we essentially will do that step during the export, and we'll export the result of that into the header instead. So if I run this, it will still generate the exact same, well, it'll still generate a header file as it did before, a header file that is used in the project in the exact same way. But if we take a look at that header file, rather than having the gap XML exported, instead the direct parsed data is already exported into what it needs to be on the runtime side for it to be interpreted by the runtime. So essentially what this is going to do, what this is going to allow, is it's going to allow on that initial MCU load, when you're bringing up your storyboard app on an MCU, we'll be able to skip that XML process, or XML parsing process. And so that's essentially going to save you memory, because we won't have to load the gap into memory. It'll save you CPU time, which can be expensive depending on how intricate the XML is. And also importantly, it will just save you time in general. You're going to get, being able to skip that XML parse just means you're going to get to your main screen faster than you did before. So yeah, that's going to be really useful in the MCU space. So yeah, that is just a preview of a few things that are coming in Storyboard 8.2.